Hello, and welcome to what will hopefully be just a kind of calm video. After the last couple of videos I've been putting out, which has been a kind of documentary look at the descent of a man's sanity as he has to go back to work after being on furlough for so long.
Oh, let me tell you my name. I'm confused because, like we're supposed to believe in the ministry, right? So is the church and state supposed to be separate? I'm confused because I never went to school.
We're just going to do a nice and easy book review. We're going to be reviewing, well, I'm going to be reviewing, you're just going to watch, preferably. Try not to get involved, unless it's in the comments section. But I'm going to be reviewing Gardens of the Moon by Erikson, the first Malazan Book of the Fallen bookie book. I've heard people call it Malazan as well.
Malazan.
I don't know which one it is. I could just Google it, but I honestly couldn't be bothered that much. So Malazan, I kind of think Malazan sounds cooler, but I call it Malazan. So first things first, it's going to be a very weird thing for me to talk about. I fucking love just this creation. There's something about a book this small, if we compare it to like a standard issue UK book size. There's something about this that I absolutely adore. The way it just kind of... It feels like a 1990s book. Like it's like a 1990s fantasy book. So it's full of awful, cancelable things. There's disgusting acts on every page. But this doesn't have that. It's like a 1990s book that's grown up. So I just wanted to get that out of the way. The only problem is, I don't know why. I don't know whether you can even see. I'm recording this at night, so the lighting could be dog shit. I don't know. But all of the writing is rubbed off the front. It's pretty much all gone. But I like that. I like leaving a book where you could tell someone's actually read it. Like, I'll just throw books around. When I'm reading a book, I will be so careful with it all the time. And then the moment I start reading it, I'll just yeet the cunt. I don't care. Like, I want it to look like I've abused it afterwards. So with that out of the way, we'll actually get into the review. So to start off with, I think like every single human being that has read Malazan started off very, very nervous. Everyone that talked about this book, like when you see Daniel Green or insert booktuber name here or anyone, they're always like, oh yeah, I had to make notes on this, like, it's so large, this is the biggest world, it's so confusing. So I was very nervous to get into it. But it fit the Hermes thing in the readathon, so I kind of was just like, yeah, this is the one I'm going to read. And I'm really glad I did. I really enjoyed this book. It was a whirlwind. I understood everything that happened. I cannot explain to you exactly what happened from every character's perspective, which we'll get into.
It's been a red card, but for who, Chris Kamara?
I don't know, Jeff, has it? I must have missed that. Red card?
The story is... I didn't even... like... When people talk about this series and shit, I feel like I've never understood what the story is actually about. So it follows the Malazan Empire and the kind of political intrigue around that as they try to expand. So the book starts with... I don't think this is a spoiler because it's the book, it's the setting up of the book, is that they take a city at the start of the book and then they have their eyes set on Darujistan, which is the last free city on this particular wherever we are. And it's the vying of power between the free city itself, the Malazan Empire, and Moonspawn, which is just a big fuck off moon that has a civilization on it with dragons and shit, just that can move around. And they're also vying for control against the Malazan Empire. And so we're following a cast of characters. We've got people from the city, a kind of the Assassin's Guild, a few thieves, that kind of thing, some political workings within the city, mages, all that kind of jazz. We have got a band of soldiers from the Malazan Empire, this cabal of mages and that kind of thing, that are infiltrating the city and trying to vie for control. And then we've got some characters from Moonspawn getting involved. Anamander Drake is the only person I knew from this from the series. It's a name I've heard quite a few times, is Anamander Drake. And he rocks up as well, so that it's kind of all these parties intermingling. Now, I'm not going to go through character by character, because I would be here quite literally all fucking day. I started writing it down because I wanted to talk about some characters, and then I realised that if I spoke about all of them for like 1 minute each, that would be 20 minutes. So instead, I'm just going to leave out the characters. Just know that I thoroughly enjoyed all of them. They all were very interesting. Whilst I connected to all of them so much, but it was kind of a... Erikson's very clinical in his writing. With it being a political intrigue military story, you feel connected to their situation and their fight, but there's a cut-off, there's an emotional cut-off in this book, where it's kind of like, they're there to do a job, and I don't know, there's something between his writing style and the kind of the confusion in where people stand and who I like more, really creates an atmosphere where there's a disconnect between you being fully emotionally invested. At least for me it did. So there are two things that I really want to give a shout out quickly to in this book. First off, each chapter starts with a poem, and they're really awesome poems. Like, forget about the rest of the book, just these poems are so cool to start it. I kept on wanting to reach the end of a chapter to read a new poem, and that would be another point, is that for a book that has the first chapter be 50 pages long, the pacing is surprisingly good. When we get to the second half and things start really ramping up, he does, like, each chapter has page breaks, and so you're jumping between characters that really gets you flying through the book, even with the length it is. And then the other thing, this turned into three things, I think. I've done pacing, poems, and then not another P. It is gods. I love when gods get involved, when it's done well. When you've got gods kind of just fucking about, some people can do it really well, some people can't. And Steven Erikson did a really good job of just having believable, kind of not deity characters. They're not like gods. They're just super powerful, pretty much. And that they completely change the board game. And watching the dynamic as humans are trying to deal with them, and the effect of fate and all this kind of stuff, where it was just a really interesting story point, and I thoroughly enjoyed that aspect of it. Just kind of being like, oh, I feel like I know where this may be going. And then it's like, but there is a god involved, so I have no fucking idea. And random shit will happen that will make sense because there's a god. And you just have to go with it. And that would be my main point with Malazan as a whole. This first book, there were parts where, like learning a different language, I knew every single element to the story individually. I knew the characters, the setting, what everyone's trying to do. But sometimes when you're trying to gel it together, I know several words in German, but if you spoke 4 paragraphs to me really quickly, I'd have no idea what was going on. And that's how it felt sometimes in Malazan, where you had these characters that you all knew separate, but when they started mingling together, you're kind of like, and what side are they on? And how do they feel about this person? Do they know? Is there a god controlling one of them I don't remember about? And you just have to kind of keep up. Some characters' name, I think there's a Mallet and a Mammoth as well. And they were disconnected enough but near each other enough where they never interacted together. Where there was a part where in my brain I went, they're the same person. And I was very confused by the book for a little time. That's my own fault. That was just me not going back to check. I was just like, they're two completely different words. I'm just going to pretend they're the same thing right now. But you just have to strap in. Steven Erikson is doing this on purpose because you're involving so many different parties. It's meant to be political intrigue, and he's hiding information from you constantly. So you just have to keep going And eventually, even if you don't understand, in 100 pages time, you're going to be like, oh yeah, I completely forgot I didn't understand that to start with, because it just, everything knits together really well. What you don't know, you're not meant to.
But this whole box is Pepe Sylvia! So I say to myself, I gotta find this guy. I gotta go up to his office. I gotta put his mail in the guy's goddamn hands. Otherwise, he's never gonna get it. He's gonna keep coming back down here. So I go up to Pepe's office, and what do I find out, man? What do I find out? There is no Pepe Sylvia. The man does not exist, okay? So I decided, oh, shit, buddy, I gotta dig a little deeper. There's no Pepe Sylvia. You gotta be kidding me. I got boxes full of Pepe. All right, so I start marching my way down to Carol and HR, and I knock on her door, and I say, Carol! Carol!
So, I suppose that is a negative. I think it depends. Like I've said on this channel before, I like books where I'm confused. I like to be just confused. So this book really tickled me in that sense. I didn't love this book. This wasn't like a 9 or a 10. This wasn't a 5-star. I'd probably give it an 8 because it did everything well, but not to a point I loved it. That's the only way I can say it, really. The best thing I can say about the book is that I definitely want to read the next one. I am so intrigued with this world and where it's going to go, especially the gods. The gods really got me. The way the magic system works. I didn't even talk about the magic system. Just, this feels like such a real world. I don't know how to describe. This feels like, because I know he did like use the GURP system for it, and I know it's meant to be based on a D&D game I think they played or something. But I do feel like that the feeling I got playing it was like you're playing a really good RPG, where it doesn't feel like you're following a single story like in other books. Even in, say, like a Stormlight Archive. Stormlight Archive is massive, but it all feels like it's working towards the same goal. Malazan felt like I was reading 3 main quests, 5 side quests, 14 miscellaneous quests, 2 hunt missions, just random shit, 5 assassination missions. It felt like a legitimate world, like I was peeking into an actually lived in world. And I don't even know how he did that. It's kind of incredible. The political intrigue worked really well because the characters, this isn't like for example, like a Mandalorian season 2 where, spoiler alert, Luke Skywalker, we don't know, like he does not know who Luke Skywalker is. He's just seen him kill a fucking bunch of things, but Mandalorian's just like, yeah, take the baby. Because we know who he is. And the fact that it just doesn't make sense. Alright, this is a different rant. Fuck. But separate from that, back to Malazan. Malazan does it better, where some characters know more information than others, and it all comes around organically. When you find out something, you put it together just before the character also puts it together, which is a very cathartic feeling. And that there are some characters, he keeps track of who knows what. There's not an assumption that someone knows something. You can have someone look at a situation and watch it from afar and be like, what the fuck's going on there? Like, this should not be happening. I don't know what these people are doing right now. But you know the people in that situation do know what they're doing, and they are meant to be together. And then you switch to their perspective, and then they explain it and shit. And it feels like a lived-in world where they're all living separate lives that are slowly threading together. I've spoken a long time about this. I don't know how long I've recorded for, but I'm gonna stop now. I would recommend this book wholeheartedly. It was a very different experience than anything I've ever read. That's all I have to say. Poems, fucking cool. Gods are cool. Political intrigue's cool. Anamanda Rake is a fucking badass. Everyone's cool. Read it. If you did enjoy the video, as always, please like, please subscribe. It does very much make my heart a warm, makes it a glow. And hopefully this has been slightly less fucking mental than my last couple of videos. So have a nice day.